Hello, welcome back to another video, and today we have got a new ALPHALETE drop review launch coming May 17th. That is the official drop date, 12 PM CST, 6 PM UK time, and I always forget to plug my code. I'm gonna plug it right now. If you find this video helpful or you want to support me with ALPHALETE, I do have a code which is Amy. It gets you guys 10% off your order. It helps me out, it helps to keep me in a job, it keeps these reviews coming. And if you do shop with my code, first of all, always message me on Instagram because I love to see what pieces you guys pick up. I like seeing if you like the same things as me, or if like I've roasted something but the points I've roasted about it are things you really want in a piece. I love seeing what you guys end up picking up, so please do message me on Instagram so I can, one, be nosy, but second of all, personally thank you. And I do also do monthly giveaways for those who use my code. This is not to encourage you guys to go and buy things that you don't want or don't need to enter my giveaways. I would actually rather you guys not do that. It's for the people who are going to be shopping anyway, as a way to be able to give back to you guys on a frequent basis, but there is never any pressure to shop from me, and I will always do giveaways that are nothing to do with code uses or anything like that. So with that being said, if you would like to enter a giveaway for two £50 or $50 ALPHALETE gift cards, leave a comment below letting me know which part of the rebrand you guys are most excited about, because that actually brings me on to my next point. This is the first drop after ALPHALETE's big rebrand announcement, so I feel like it makes sense to address it in this video. I don't think this drop for women's in particular that much of a change or like a big rebrand moment in terms of the product. Pretty much like same in new colours, if that makes sense, and the Tenacity pieces obviously have the new logo. So that brings me on to the first thing, which is the new logo, which everyone has a lot of thoughts on. I've heard it looks like the Avengers, it looks like the Adobe logo, it looks like car manufacturing logo. I've heard a lot. I have seen a lot of men saying that they like it, and I think the logo does look very athletic. For my girls, it will not be on every women's product. There's actually still going to be a good chunk of ALPHALETE product that is going to be coming out with that wordmark logo. I believe from what I've seen and what we've been told, they are keeping the little wolf, they are keeping the A logo, they are keeping the ALPHALETE wordmark. The new logo features much more on men's items than it does women's. A lot of the women's items have still got that wordmark logo, which I know that some people aren't a fan of, but personally I do prefer the look of that on women's items to the newer logo personally. So I just wanted to clear that up. It's not going to be on every single piece, and I actually feel like for a lot of women's stuff it's not on the pieces. Onto the actual like rebrand itself, no one was complaining really about the ALPHALETE logo. No one was complaining about the brand colours. The things that people were complaining about was feeling like they were being continually ignored by the brand. And so for me, with everything that they've told us they're committing to, this feels much more like a recommitment and a rebuilding of trust with you guys. It's more about rerouting, rebuilding and recommitting. I am going to read some of the points off my phone just because I don't want to skip over anything, and I'm not going to cover everything in this video because I want this to just really be a review. But I don't want to skirt over this because I did get quite a lot of messages from people, which I'll go on to when I've read out commitments, just being quite confused about the rebrand. So I wanted to explain some of the changes that are going to be happening. Community events, obviously since they built Alphaland, they've not really done community events. They've had summer shredding, but that's not ALPHALETE, and that's not really anything to do with ALPHALETE. From what I understand, summer shredding is going to be treated completely separately. It's a separate business. It's not really anything to do with ALPHALETE. First one will be in LA. I believe it's going to be October the 18th. They're doing a pop-up. You'll be able to shop the new collection, which will be dropping after that, I guess, in advance there. Workouts with people, panels, all that sort of stuff. All that stuff that you see other brands doing and pouring back into their communities, ALPHALETE are going to be doing again. I feel like, yeah, since they built Alphaland, they just expected everyone to sort of come to them. They really want to start going back out into the community. Obviously Ashley, community role, so she's played a massive role in planning that event, picking the venue, all that sort of stuff. So I'm very confident that that's going to be amazing. And honestly, probably one of the things I'm most excited about, because I feel like the community element is so important. It's so important to me, and I feel like it's been really lacking. Second thing is charity partnerships. They will be partnering with charities themselves, whether it's donating clothes, donating funds, but they will also be having a feature on the website, I believe, where you can round up your basket to donate to a charity. So that's sort of going to be like embedded as part of their brand and culture, to be giving back more, which again, if you've been here for a while, you'll know that's something we do a lot. That's something I think is so important. I think it's really important to give back, and so I personally love that change. I feel like it's something that some people might find incredibly boring. I think it's really important. You should be pouring back into the communities that are supporting you and allowing you to keep your business. Will be an app launching. By the time that this has gone live, it should be ready. It's slightly delayed, but you can shop on that app. You can get obviously push notifications for drops on that app. I believe they might be doing some early access through the app as well, and this also ties in with the new loyalty scheme. They did introduce a loyalty scheme, but we weren't even notified that they were doing points. Like, popped up one day and it wasn't properly planned out. The tiers weren't very well thought out, so they went away, they've researched what every other brand is doing, and they've put together what they are saying is a very competitive loyalty scheme, and it's very much in line, if not better, than what other brands are offering. I'll be honest, I don't know what other brands are offering, so I don't know if that's true, but you guys, I'm sure you guys will let me know if it's not. It's going to be properly set out with tiers, so you're going to have gold, silver, platinum. I believe platinum is going to be like the top tier. You will get access to tickets to community events first. I believe there'll be opportunities for like special merch, early access to launches, and one thing that I do really like is you don't have to spend to get points. That's not the only way to get points. You can get points through actions, like downloading the app is going to get you points. I believe like engaging with the brand on social media will get you points. I believe leaving reviews, I feel like I saw that is going to get you points. There's going to be basically other ways to get points that are not just buying things, which I personally really like, because I don't think it's necessarily, yes, you want to reward the customers that are shopping with you, and I don't think that's wrong. There's other ways to show loyalty to a brand without having to shop all the time or spend obscene amounts of money, which a lot of people can't afford to do. So I do like that they have thought about that. EU warehouse by the end of year. This is so important. It's so long overdue. You, if you've been watching my reviews for a while, will know I have been telling you guys, because I was being told it since like 2021, that they were working on an EU warehouse. They're keeping the UK warehouse and adding an EU warehouse by the end of this year, which will mean no more customs and duties for you guys. I know that that has been a huge sticking point for a lot of you buying, and it's really annoying that it's taken them 5 years to get this sorted, especially because they kept saying it was going to be sorted, but they are like making it a very public commitment now. They're going to have an EU warehouse by the end of the year, which means it should really already be in the works, so I'm very hopeful for that. But just to be clear, it's not ready yet, so do not order from this drop not expecting duties. It's not ready yet. It's by end of year, and I will let you guys know when it's ready. There are changes in terms of the design element of things, so I'm not going to talk too much on men's because I don't review men's stuff. Definitely took a shift away from active. It took a shift away from like fitted, like actual gym stuff, which I personally thought they did really well, and they were doing a lot of baggy stuff, everything oversized, very much streetwear, which is very cool, but it was a complete change, and they weren't honestly really doing much good activewear, like actually in the gym functional activewear for men anymore. That's completely changing. They've done a massive survey with the customers. They're really going back to basics, going back to doing more fitted styles. Yes, there will still be things like joggers and stuff, but making sure they're much higher quality and ensuring they're making actual activewear again, which I do feel like has been very lacking from the men's, because when people will ask me for recommendations for the boyfriends, I'm like, I actually don't know. Obviously Christian has teased their drop-in pump in June. That is essentially going to be their glute lift legging. I've not tested it properly. I've tried it on for about 5 minutes, and I'm gonna hold off on my thoughts until I've received my package for that drop and been able to test it properly, because things can change, you never know, and I would just rather wait to talk on that. But if you want to see a sneak peek, it is in his YouTube video. I know a lot of people don't love the logo being on the hip. I don't love it either. I don't think it looks great, but I do believe that they will end up changing that after the initial drop, because I feel like everyone's going to have the same feedback on that. So I do think that will be changed after the initial drop of it. So with women's design, core lines, rise options, full length top options, this is something that they really need to work on, because they kept saying things were full length, and yeah, maybe if you're 5'2" with no torso, but for anyone taller than that or with a longer torso, they don't have any true like full length tops, or tops that don't like ride up if you're a little bit on the taller side. Doing the full length but also maintaining hip length, meet and greet crop, having different lengths and sort of properly padding out like a core line for their basics, for tops, more buttery fabrics, less of like the shiny stuff, core colours, restocks on popular products between drops, so less FOMO, which again I love. If you've been here for a while, you'll know that I really hate FOMO marketing. I hate having to tell you guys you need to be on the website to get this, otherwise it's going to sell out. I don't love that way of marketing. So with the replenishment between drops and restock, it will massively help. They're not going to restock everything all the time, but if something sells well, they will be trying to restock it where possible. Core colours, more cohesive drops where like the colours, and I feel like this drop does work well with that, the colours work well together, having that core colour palette of colours that come in multiple ranges, multiple fits, multiple styles, all that sort of stuff. And basically just listening to what you guys actually want, not just putting out designs anymore willy-nilly, throwing spaghetti in at the wall, seeing what sticks. I feel like the designs have just been very scattered and sort of not felt cohesive for a long time. More inclusion and diversity in their marketing, whether it's through their photo shoots, their athlete programs, their affiliate programs. They really want to be more inclusive and more diverse with this, and I know that this is something that's really important to Kate, who's sort of in charge of like creative stuff now. So I'm hoping and very, very, very confident that we are going to see big changes, which again, it's very long overdue and very much needed. And revamped customer service, shipping should be much quicker. Shipping in the UK, they're not making changes yet, but I am going to ask them, because £8 shipping is diabolical. I know it is, it's really bad. I am going to ask them to change that, because there is just no way that it needs to be £8. I don't think I know any other company that's charging that much, especially when it very rarely comes next day. Faster responses from customer service, better responses from customer service, a live chat support option on the website. The website has had a revamp as well, so it should be more helpful in terms of sizing, in terms of colours, in terms of rises, like knowing what sort of rise you're buying when you go in for a bottom. It should be much more cohesive and helpful on that front as well. And also when it comes to like the fit and sizing advice on like the toggle, they have told us that initially this will be put out by what the design team are saying, but they will be tweaking it based on our feedback when we start getting packages. So by the time that a launch comes around, if you know design have said that it fits true to size, but everyone is saying they've had to size up in it, they will alter that on the website so that when the drop goes live, you guys know this fits really tight, you might want to consider sizing up, which I think is really important, because sizing has been a huge issue with ALPHALETE. And a lot of people also don't have time to be watching reviews, like, to just be completely real, they don't have time. So hopefully the website just being more concise with that will be really helpful for you guys. That's not everything. I think there's a couple more things that I'm missing, but those are the things that we have definitely spoken about the most. So those are the things I think you guys will care about most and want to hear about most. I want to be really clear that I am 100% understanding of the fact that they have broken trust with a lot of you guys, whether it's through continually ignoring simple design requests, wanting simple pieces, wanting multiple rises, wanting multiple inseams for things, wanting more inclusion, wanting more diversity, having bad experience with customer service, having shipping issues. I know that they've broken a lot of trust down with some of you guys, and I appreciate that for some of you this might be too little too late. You've maybe moved on to other brands, and that's okay. I appreciate you still being here, whether it's because you're watching my vlogs or you just like listening to me talk about activewear. I appreciate you just as much. But for people who are willing to like rebuild the trust, I also appreciate it might be quite hard to feel excited about this if you've had bad experiences in the past before you've been able to experience a difference. And this is definitely going to be one of these things where I will say to you guys, I've told you the changes they're saying they're making, but we haven't seen the changes yet. So it's going to be one of those things where you're not going to feel the benefit of this rebrand or recommitment to you guys until you attend a community event, until you have an issue with an order and you need to reach out to customer service and they're quick and they're really helpful, until you place an order and it comes much quicker during a sale period, until you see the designs that are coming out and you finally feel like they're listening to you. You're not going to feel the difference until you experience it. So I understand why some of you might not be feeling excited yet, because it's also, I appreciate, kind of coming at a weird time with this drop, because it does feel like it's more of the same, but I believe from June onwards is when it does start to differentiate a little bit more and feel more new and more fresh, if that makes sense. They hear you, they are listening to you. It's a shame, yes, that it's taken them this long, like you guys with the EU warehouse, you've been waiting 5 years for this. It's better than not doing anything and sitting back and just not changing anything and digging their heels in. They want to listen to you guys and they want to make changes. It's going to take time ultimately to rebuild trust with those of you who they've lost it with. I know there'll be people listening to this thinking I've never had a bad experience, I don't get it, what the fuck is she talking about? Brilliant. I'm very, very, very happy for those of you who haven't experienced that, but I don't want to have you guys feel like you need to be like applauding a fish for swimming, so to speak. I appreciate that a lot of these changes are things that kind of should just be done anyway, but it is a step in the right direction. Things I'm most excited about personally: community events, EU warehouse, design hopefully going in the right direction, because I personally have really struggled with that. I've not resonated with a lot of the pieces that dropped last year. I felt like I wasn't resonating with them. More diversity, more inclusion, that's all the things that are really, really, really important to me. Partnering with charities, those are the things that excite me the most. You guys can let me know what excites you the most, if you are excited at all. I just wanted to address it, empathise with you, sympathise with you, talk to you about it, be very open and honest, and just lay out the differences. I know new logo, cool, new brand colours, cool, but people who, for example, have had really bad experiences with customer service, with product, with whatever it may be, feeling like they're not part of a community, they don't really care about a new logo or new brand colours. They want to know what this means for them. So hopefully that's helped to explain that. And I apologise for taking up probably like 15 minutes of this review. Let's get into it. So the drop is May 17th. It's the first drop post rebrand, so this will have all the updated features on the website. New loyalty program has come into play. I do believe they're backdating your guys' points from the start of 2025. The app should be up by then, so you should be able to shop on the app if that's something that you prefer to do and you find it more user friendly, so that's brilliant. And it's a very bright and colourful drop. I'm gonna pop like a little rolling thing of everything that's launching on the screen. I didn't get the velour sets. I don't like the velour sets. I just don't like them on me. It felt like a waste in my order because all I'm gonna do is say I don't like them. Fabric is nice, I will say that, but I just don't like them. They give me a bad camel toe and it's just not very me. It's not something that I gravitate towards. I didn't pick up the new running short, purely just because I don't really like how running shorts look on me. I feel like they make me look like I'm built like a brick, but I never find them very flattering. I go on runs now. I personally would rather run in like tight short that's like low compression, if that makes sense, rather than a running short. Call me crazy, but I just feel like I feel more comfortable running in that, or even a one piece. I've ran in one pieces as well. And then the other thing I didn't pick up is contour leggings, purely because I know I don't like them. I don't like the waffle. I'm not going to use them, so I would rather pick up the shorts. Already reviewed them. I've already told you guys what I think. It just felt like a waste to get more leggings when I know I don't like them. Yeah, that's everything that I decided to skip on, but everything else I do have. We've got new contour, we've got new baby tees, we've got a lot of new colours. This drop is for the brights girls. It's for the girly girls. This is a very, very, very feminine, girly, bright summer drop. I know it's spring, but this is really giving summer. Sizing, I'm gonna pop it on the screen so you guys can see what my sizing is, what my measurement is, what sizes I usually wear, and also my fit preference, because I feel like that does play a role. I personally don't want to be squeezed like a can of biscuits. It makes the sizing information make more sense if you know my fit preference. Okay, let's get into the colours, but first of all, just a very, 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 very boring but quick disclaimer. I always like to disclaim it. Not normal how much activewear I have in this video. The reason I have so much activewear in this video, and I have every colour, is for review purposes only. You do not need this much activewear. You do not need every single item. You don't actually probably need anything if you've been going to the gym for a few years. Probably got enough activewear. Now if you want it, buy it. That's a whole different story, but you don't need anything. I never want anyone watching these to feel like I'm normalizing having this much stuff. I am not. I will be the first person to say this is abnormal. Please, please never watch my videos and think you need to run out and buy every single colour. You need to consume on this sort of level. This is normal or anything like that. If you choose to do that and it's what makes you happy, fine. But please never feel like this is normal or this is something that I'm pushing on you. I'm telling you now, you might buy it all. Half of it will be stuck with labels on it for the next 3 weeks. You'll forget to return the things that don't fit you. You know you will. Probably won't be able to sell it for more than you bought it from when you do miss the returns period. And you will end up recycling your 4 favourite colours that you've had for the past 3 years. Once the excitement of a new drop has fallen off, usually that is what happens. We've got a lot of colours and a lot of different colours. Like ALPHALETE, we've got a yellow in the mix, so we'll go over yellow first, I guess. This is canary yellow. This colour is really hard to get it to pick up accurately on camera. I would say how it's showing up now is pretty accurate to how it is in real life. It's maybe like a touch, like a hint darker in real life, but this is canary yellow. I just first of all wanted to show you the baby tea. This is canary yellow tenacity, and this is canary yellow in the seamless. So as you can see, they're very close. If anything, the baby tea is maybe a tiny bit darker, but honestly when they're on body it looks like a complete matching set. There isn't a ton of difference. Not one of those things where between ranges the colours look totally different when they're on body. So I just wanted to go over that first. But yeah, this is canary yellow. This is definitely not that sherbet butter yellow that's been trending. It's like the colour of a lemon, maybe slightly creamier, but it's not the super light sherbet lemon colour, even though sometimes it does pick up like that on camera. It's very much just a true yellow colour. In terms of comparing it to colours like lemonade, I would say this is a little bit darker and a little bit more of a true yellow compared to lemonade. Compared to daffodil, which dropped in ozone, this is definitely more of a true yellow. That one definitely has more like creamy orangey undertones to it. Yeah, it's coming in tenacity, it's coming in the baby tea, and it's also coming in seamless options as well. I would say that this is probably my favourite colour in this drop. First of all, it's very different for ALPHALETE. Like when I went to do the colour comparisons for this, we really don't do yellow much. Second of all, I've just discovered that I think yellow looks really good on me, especially with my hair colour. I don't know what it is, feel free to tell me if you think I'm wrong. In terms of marl, there is no marl on any of the canary pieces. Aurora is back. This has dropped before and it's the exact same as before, so it's that basically highlighter green neon colour. It's very bright. It makes Citrus Frost look like the palest pastel dullest green ever. Colour comparisons, sometimes I know you might look at them and think, well, that can't be accurate because Citrus Frost doesn't look like that. But when you put colours next to other colours, it brings out, maybe it's much more purple, even though looking at it objectively you might think, bitch, that's pink. When you put it next to a different shade of pink, it might pick up the purple in it, if that makes sense. So do keep that in mind when you're looking at colour comparisons. If you're thinking that looks nothing like it, it's not accurate. A lot of the time it's just because it's now been put next to a colour that's bringing out a different side to it. Or yes, that is a bright light green, but in comparison to a neon green, it looks pastel and creamy. I'd honestly probably say this is my least favourite colour in this drop just because I don't think it suits me. I don't think it looks great on me, and I have Aurora pieces from last year and I just don't reach for them. I tried to tone them down by wearing it with grey and it just doesn't work for me. But yeah, Aurora is making a comeback, but it's only in tenacity, no seamless pieces for this one. Blue Bonnet. Now this is coming in tenacity pieces, so this is the tenacity tank that's dropping. It's coming in baby tea and then it's coming in seamless as well. This honestly is pretty much bang on between ranges. I don't really notice any difference at all between products in this one. The only difference is with the seamless, I would say this does have a slight marl to it. It's not super obvious, but I just feel like when you look at it up close, you can see that it has a slight marl to it. In terms of colour comparison, I thought this was going to be so boring, honestly. I thought it was going to be like French blue. A mid-tone blue and a mid-tone purple had a baby. I feel like if you put it next to purples, it looks blue, but then if you put it next to washed denim, for example, a blue, it looks purple. It's like a bluey purpley shade. I feel like, is Blue Bonnet a flower? It reminds me of like a floral blue shade, but I can't think of the flower off the top of my head. I know that this might feel like the most boring of the colours because it looks more basic, but I honestly feel like this is a really nice colour. It's very flattering. I feel like it looks really nice with my hair colour, with my complexion. It's actually quite different and I do really like it. And if you do have dusty blue in like the strappy bra, it doesn't dead match, but it does work really nicely with it. So yeah, that's Blue Bonnet. Then we've got Ride. Ride has dropped before. It's coming back for contour and for seamless. So yeah, it's a very like mid-tone grey. It has like a slight marl if you look up close, but honestly it's pretty much solid. It's like a school jumper grey sort of shade. That's how I would describe it. True mid to dark grey shade. And I do like that it's coming in this drop because I feel like with the neons, it's quite easy to pair with them and it kind of tones it down. I actually wore this with the yellow and I really liked how it looked. If you are wanting to delve into the brights but you're wanting a colour you can maybe tone things down with, I do think this was a smart add to the drop because it kind of just can bring an outfit to being a bit more wearable if you're not as out there with your colour selections. So yeah, Ride is back. Next up we've got dark navy. Again, this is unique to ALPHALETE. I would say out of anything it reminds me of if like one of the greys had a baby with whale blue. A very chameleon like colour. If you put it next to greys it looks blue. If you put it next to victory blue, for example, like a brighter blue, it looks grey. Dark navy grey sort of shade, and this is only coming in tenacity, so there's no marl or anything like that. With tenacity fabric it's cut and sew, there's no marl to it. It's a solid block colour, but again, smart addition because I feel like with like the rose colour and the yellow it goes really well. I really like this with the yellow in particular. That is the one thing I will say with this drop, it works very well together. Even though they're bright, they can all work quite well together with each other, which I do really like. Okay, finally the pinks. We have got 3 new pinks. We've got Rose, we've got Malibu, which is this like fluorescent Barbie pink. This again, it's kind of like the yellow. It's hard to show on camera. I would say this is the most accurate I've got it to show up. Malibu Barbie pink. Think like high gloss Barbie pink. And then we've got Bloom. So this is a much deeper, it's not as bright as this, it's not as neon. I honestly love this colour, so we'll go over this first. So this is Bloom. It's only coming in your seamless pieces, so there's no tenacity in this colour, but it does work quite well with the Malibu colour. I was getting a lot of questions about this compared to Hot Pink or Pink. They did drop it twice, but they changed the name on one of the drops. It's lighter and it's more like candy toned. Don't know what crack they've put in this colour, but I think this is much prettier than the pink Hot Pink colour. Like this is more of a Barbie candy. I don't know if it's got more of like a red undertone to it. I don't know what it is. I just think it looks so much prettier. This has like a notable marl as well, I would say. Like Blue Bonnet, it's only really when you look up close. Bloom, especially when you put it next to Pink, you can see that's completely flat and solid. This one has a marl to it, which is really pretty and does also make the fabric feel nicer on this contour, which I'll get onto when I get into my review. I think this is going to sell very well. Also, just a side note, in terms of washing, please wash Bloom separately the first couple washes because the colour does bleed in the wash. Don't hang it near whites or lights or wash it with light. In my opinion, really needs to go in with colours that are almost identical or on its own those first couple washes, just until the dye stops bleeding out in the wash. Malibu Pink is, again, this is a totally new shade for ALPHALETE. This is bright highlighter neon pink. I thought this was going to be like Gleece. Gleece next to this looks like a more bubblegum tone. It doesn't look anywhere near as bright as I remember it initially being. It's highlighter pink, it's bright, it's only coming in tenacity, so it's flat, there's no marl to it whatsoever, and it's not coming in any seamless items. But if you want like highlighter pink, you will love this colour, especially if you're a brights person. This and Aurora are definitely the brightest in the drop, but as you can see, the colours in this drop, they just work really nicely together. You can mix and match, so even if you don't want to get a matching set, I feel like the colours work well together. And then we've got Rose, which I thought was going to be very similar to Cotton Candy, but as you guys are going to be able to see, it's actually not. It's significantly lighter, like peachier in appearance. So this is coming in, we've got a baby tee, we've got seamless, and we've got tenacity. And again, there's slight differences, but you honestly really can't tell much. Baby pink shade, and this is stunning. Like this is so pretty. I really like this colour. I feel like I'm not even that much of a pinks person, but I feel like Poise changed me because I've worn it so much since it dropped. Compared to Poise, this is much more of a pink. That one's much more of a purpley undertone. Compared to Cotton Candy, this is lighter. It's more like salmony. Cotton Candy is a little bit darker. It's a true baby pink shade, and if you like your pinks, you're gonna love it. Pinks sell very well for ALPHALETE, so I have no doubt that this, Malibu and Bloom are going to sell very, very well. Bloom is not like the Bloom that dropped before. So Bloom is a very old colour for Alphalete. Obviously that's not going to be coming back, but it's kind of been replaced by Poise because that is the same colour. So when I refer to Bloom from now on, I likely mean this, not the Bloom that dropped with the pastels like 3 years ago. Just wanted to clarify that. Okay, so obviously I've done my colour wheels, but here I'm just going to put in a quick lookbook showing you guys like 2 to 3 colour combinations for each of the colours that I've just shown you, because we stand on business around here when I say you really don't need to go out and buy an entire new outfit, especially with this being a brights drop. I want to show you can make this work with colours that you've highly likely already got in your wardrobe. So I'm going to insert my lookbook here.
First up, we've got dark navy with Solar, which is a previous brights, which I really like. I just really like it with yellowy tones. Love it with pastel-y tones as well, so I put it with tea rose, and I really like charcoaly sort of colours with pinks. I also paired it with Purple Rain. Moving on to Blue Bonnet, I love that colour with Purple Rain. I love it with pinks. With Dusty Blue from the last launch, it looks really good, and I also really like it with Citrus Frost. Then moving on to Rose, love it with Citrus Frost, it's giving sweets. I also really like it with Pink Sands, any of the previous pinks, and I really like it with this Tenacity Purple. I feel like this is cute. Yellow and purple will always be a vibe. It's giving Barney, but I kind of love it. Love Canary with Grove, and I also really like it with pinks. I just think, yeah. You know what? Yeah. Aurora with Grove for an all green look, I love. Put it with Aura Sunset, which I love, and then I put it with Heat, which again very bright, but if you're a bright girl you're gonna love that one. Bloom with Grove, it's giving watermelon and I love it. Bloom with Tea Rose for more of a tonal look, which I love, and then Bloom with Dusty Blue I weirdly like. Then moving on to Malibu Pink, Digital Violet, oh my god it looks so good. Citrus Frost for more of a brights look, and then Pixel Pink as well, I love.
Let's go over contour first, because I feel like that usually takes me the longest. So contour is dropping in these 4 colours, and also Ride. Ride is only coming in the leggings, and the leggings also do not have canary yellow. If you like the yellow, it's only in the shorts, and if you like Ride, if you want a grey, it's only in the leggings. I didn't pick up the leggings, which I've already explained at the start. I don't like the leggings. It felt pointless picking them up, but the sizing between leggings and shorts is very similar, so you can basically take this and apply. And if you want to see a full in-depth review, I've done it like 2 or 3 times, but I will link those below. There was a lot of complaints about the tag being in the center on the last drop. It was very obvious, and a lot of you actually ended up returning your contour shorts because you didn't like how it looked. I honestly don't know why they changed that. There was nothing wrong with it, but they have actually now got rid of the tag completely. So now it's just printed in the back. It's got all the washing information, and there is no tag anywhere on these items anymore. The tags are gone. They are a thing of the past, and they are no longer on the short. There's like a tiny little black tag on the inside of the leg, but there's no big long tag on contour anymore. The information is all printed in. You guys can see there's no weird lines on the back now. The only thing I will say is with washing and stuff over time, this could wash off, so when it comes to reselling and stuff, you might not have the sizing printed on there anymore. That's just something to be aware of, but in general I do think this is a much better idea because the tag situation did not look good on the last drop. So details wise, you have got the 3-tier waistband. It starts lower compression, moves to a higher compression, so it's more. And compression scale wise, these in my opinion are high compression. These are a very compressive bottom through the waist. The leg is pretty stretchy. The bottom of the short can be quite snug and can be quite tight, and it does roll quite a bit and it can dig into the thigh, especially in the leggings in particular. The leg is very stretchy on contour generally. The waistband however tends to be quite snatching. It's quite thick, it's quite densely knitted, and again you've got that 3-tier compression. Branding wise, Alphalete wordmark on the back. There's no new logo on the contour shorts. Then got obviously the side panel detailing, which tends to be a lot sheerer, but it's just this like hexagonal detailing down the side. Thicker bottom band, which really helps to push your glutes up. It's not going to give you like a defined BBL looking butt. It does lift the glutes, and if you don't want something so obvious looking, these are a lot more subtle in my opinion. You do have a ribbed contouring around the glutes, but it's just slightly raised. It doesn't add any compression or underlift. It's more there for contour rather than lift. They are a 5-inch inseam, and the scrunch on the back is the same as all the recent drops. So you've got that 4-row scrunch. It is the same as the last drop with this little section here. I noticed on the last drop this bit here is longer than usual. On the older drops the scrunch was sewn a lot more closer up here, so there is more give at this bottom section now, but that's the same as the last drop. So if you didn't notice any changes that you disliked about the last drop, you're going to be completely fine with that. And I don't really feel like it makes that much of a difference to how the scrunch sits. I don't notice it's going all the way up my lower back too much, but this is a stretchy scrunch. And in terms of the measurements for the scrunch, it depends on what size you get. Generally you are going to get a scrunch anywhere between 3 and 4 inches. Most size smalls are 3 inches, 3.25, and then usually they stretch over time to being about 4. The medium that I got in Bluebonnet, that's 4 inches, so it's a little bit longer, but not a notable difference. But it is something to be aware of if you do size up and you're very sensitive about scrunch lengths and all that sort of jazz. Sizing up will give you a longer scrunch. And also if you don't like feeling tension, which I don't really find you do get with contour, but if you don't like feeling that tension, sizing up might relieve that a little bit as well, because you do get a longer scrunch, you've got a little bit more give. And the scrunch still can have that shiny appearance to it as well. That's definitely still a feature. They are basically the same as contour has always been. In terms of the rise, these are down on ALPHALETE as an ultra high rise. On me personally, I find that these hit me sort of mid to high. I would say probably more likely high, sort of like mid belly button, and I do have a longer torso. But the thing is with contour, it's so stretchy that you can pull this up to be ultra high rise. You can also try and bunch it down to be a little bit lower, but generally I would say high to ultra high, depending how high you stretch it up, depending on the length of your torso. That's another thing as well. There really isn't like a true definitive answer for a rise, because it's not a one size fits all. What's ultra high rise on someone might be mid rise on someone that's significantly taller with a much longer torso. So try and find someone with a similar build to use to see what they say about rise. But on me, it's a high rise. It hits me sort of mid belly button, but it's stretchy. I can pull it up if I want to cover up more. And generally with contour, I have found this with previous drops, the shorts tend to sit a little bit lower than the leggings. So again, if you are sensitive about rises and stuff, or you want something a little bit lower, the shorts in general all tend to sit a little lower than the leggings do. Obviously with rise as well, be aware these are all 8-inch front rise, which is basically standard for contour in a size small, but obviously that's based off a size small. If you go down a size, you'll get like a 7-inch, maybe 7.5 inch. My medium is 9 inches, so just keep in mind that the rise that you're going to be getting out of them and all that sort of stuff does change with sizing. It's not like they're all an 8-inch rise. If you size up, they will fit you higher. If you size down, they will fit you lower, because it is graded. But yeah, the only difference I noticed with my medium Bluebonnet was that, and also a little bit of extra length and a little bit of extra rise. But other than that, they felt like a size small, which I feel like happens with mediums of a contour quite a lot of the time. In terms of camel toe with contour, I don't really find that I have a huge problem with it. In terms of sweat with these, I find that the contour does show sweat for me, because I find it quite fluffy and I don't find that it dries that quick either. So I don't find contour to be sweat proof or that sweat wicking on me personally. In terms of pilling, I feel like I need to talk about pilling and fabric at the same time. So pilling generally with contour, I find it one of the worst seamlesses that ALPHALETE have for pilling. They pill incredibly quickly, they pill incredibly easily. You should not sit on the turf in them, you should not sit on the gym floor in them, you should not burp, fart or sneeze in them, because they will pill. You shouldn't have a gym bag rubbing up against them. They are very soft and very delicate and very pantyhose tight, kind of like in feel. I will say, and I've said this before, when you've had them a while and you've washed them a few times, the softness dissipates. It does come off in the wash and they don't maintain that softness, but it's not a bad thing. They don't become like awfully itchy or anything like that. They pill way less the more you wash them, because that softness does come off in the wash. And I found that my sand looked absolutely battered after the first few wears. Now that I've fabric shaved it and washed it a few times, it's very durable now and it doesn't pill much at all. But I do think for the price point, there really is no reason for these to be pilling as badly as they do, and I do think they are way too delicate for the price point. Some people don't care, but I remember Amplify when you could do something as heinous as sit on the turf and it wouldn't pill. But I do still miss that, and I wish that they would bring that into contour, because it's really, really annoying. Like, come on, like these are £50. They shouldn't be pilling and bobbling so easily. It's not like they're cheap. And OG Amplify would never, okay? So that brings me on to fabric. The fabric is the same as all the seamless items always is. You got 51 polyamide, 38 polyester, 11% elastane. However, I did know that with these, I do feel a difference between the colours in a way that I honestly haven't in a while for a seamless drop. So I do just want to talk about that really quickly. You can have a really different experience. I could say that these are really thin and flimsy, and you might buy them and get a really thick pair. They are made in batches and they can kind of have differences in terms of fit and feel between that. So don't take what I'm saying as gospel. This is just my experience and I'm passing it on in hopes to be helpful. Your canary yellow and your rose are legit like tights. Like, these are incredibly thin, incredibly stretchy. They're like pantyhose. They're very soft, they're very fluffy, they're very delicate, they're very sheer, which I will get onto. Like, these are completely sheer, and rose is the exact same way. Like, can you see? It's very much, when you put it at full stretch, it's like tights. Really bad for sheerness. I'm talking stood up, I can see my butt cheek freckles, which is only ever happened with Citrus Frost. These are incredibly sheer. The waistband, totally different colour to the mid portion. The bottom band around the thigh is obviously thicker as well. That and the waistband are much darker than what goes around the hip and the glutes. That's how much of a difference there is in sheerness with these, and they are both equally as sheer, equally as bad in my opinion. I know it doesn't bother some people, but I just think the more that we say, oh, it's a cute colour, I'm gonna buy it anyway, there really is no reason for brands to try and improve and work on these things if people buy it anyway. You are going to keep getting sheer shorts, sheer activewear if we just keep buying. I can dabble with a little bit of sheerness, and I can accept that certain colours, certain lighter colours might be more sheer than darker colours. I understand that. I'm not a dumb bitch. But what I don't understand is colours where when I'm stood up, even with nude underwear on, you can see the nude underwear, you can see my butt cheek freckles. Like, what are people with tattoos meant to do? I mean, they're just not meant to buy it, I guess. So these are very like thin, like flimsy, tight, like sort of typical contour feel, but honestly I would say these are very thin and very sheer. Especially with Bloom, I feel like because you've got that marl, they're not as soft in feel. They feel a little bit more, like, can you hear that? They feel a little bit more rigid, a little bit stiffer, a little bit thicker. They're nowhere near as bad for sheerness. Obviously it's a darker colour, but it's still a bright, so it could be bad. They're nowhere near as bad, and I feel like they're thicker as well. I feel like you can see here, yeah, they're still not perfect, but I feel like you can see they're not quite as pantyhose like, a little bit more densely knitted, which is a thing for mild colours. Mild colours do tend to be a little bit thicker, be a little bit tighter, because it's two threads that's gone into them. Blue Bonnet, which I don't find it to be as thick as Bloom that I've just showed you, but it's definitely thicker and safer than the first two colours. So yes, the lightness doesn't help with sheerness, but I do also feel like these feel thinner and more fluffy and more tight like and more pill prone. These two feel sturdier, especially Bloom. I would say this feels the thickest and sturdiest a contour drop I've honestly had in a very long time. It reminds me of black contour, which if you've had, that is definitely thicker. I definitely do notice a difference, so I just wanted to point that out. Like, now it makes sense to probably go over squat proofness. These are not squat proof. Obviously canary yellow is horrific. It's not even stand-up proof. I can see my butt cheek freckles when I'm stood up, and like I said, the waistband is a totally different colour to the actual leg of the short because of how sheer it is through the hip and glue. It won't bother some people, and if you don't care, pop off queen, but especially if you've got tattoos, you're gonna see them. And that's why I do the black brief, by the way. No one's wearing black briefs with light colours, but it's to show you guys what it's gonna look like if you have a tattoo, and you can see even stood up, it's sheer. Rose is just as bad, honestly. It's no better than the yellow. It's just as bad. Nude underwear, stood up, I can see it. Butt cheek freckles, stood up, I can see it. Very sheer in my experience. Blue Bonnet, again, you do get that sheerness with the black brief, but I would honestly wear this with nude underwear on a leg day and it doesn't bother me. It's not sheer when I'm stood up, and it's totally fine with nude underwear or even grey underwear I can get away with. And the same with Bloom. I would wear it with nude underwear. It doesn't bother me. But if you have tattoos, I would say when you're squatting and stuff, it's definitely something to still be aware of. With it being that brighter colour, I feel like you can see black through it. Keep in mind your skin tone will play a massive difference. Like the bigger the contrast between your skin tone and the colour you've got on, the worse the sheerness will look, so keep that in mind. Also keep in mind sizing. If you size down, sheerness is going to be a lot worse. If you size up, you might be able to get less sheerness out of a product. And leggings will always be worse for sheerness than shorts because that material is stretched over a much bigger portion. But yeah, I just feel like, I know that people will say it's in the nature of the colours, and I know that when ALPHALETE dropped like Arctic Sky and Lemonade, they were completely sheer and completely see-through, and those were towards the start of Amplify. But I do feel like there has got to be a way of doing these colours that's not so sheer, because when you are stood up and the waistband is a totally different colour to the leg, I just don't think it looks great. And I know that people will say we can go commando. Personally, especially in canary yellow, I would not be going commando in this, because I feel like on a leg day people are gonna see everything. They're gonna see what I've had for dinner, they're gonna see my internal organs, for Christ's sake. I just can't get on board with it. Also, shaving, are we all just lasered up to our eyeballs? Because if you had even a little bit of stubble down there, down yonder, you would be able to see it poking through. I think we should all collectively push for more squat proof colours. I'm not saying they need to be 100%, but we should definitely be striving for some improvements, because yeah, if Citrus Frost was fine for you and it didn't bother you, pop off, you'll be fine. But if you bought that and you were like, holy fuck, I can't leave the house, I think you're gonna have the same experience with these, just saying. And again, I will remind you, these are like 50 Great British pounds, so there's that. Okay, in terms of sizing for contour, I did find, annoyingly, some inconsistencies with the waistband for this drop for me and with the sizing in general. So I got Blue Bonnet in a medium and the rest of them in a small. For reference, my usual sizing for contour is I can do small or medium. Small if I want high compression, medium for more comfortable. I do get excess fabric in the hip, but honestly, if you do not like compression through the waist, or you have a softer stomach, or you are between sizes, I would always recommend that you go a size up in contour, because you absolutely can. It's not going to be hanging off you, the waistband is still going to fit you, it's just not going to be squeezing your guts. Because if you go down a size, you will definitely notice a squeeze through the waist, which if you like that, then that's fine. But if you are someone who doesn't like high compression, I would recommend go a size up, because in your true size, these are a high compression through the waistband. So I can do small or medium. I got smalls and then I got medium in Blue Bonnet, and there is no difference between them at all. Like, no difference. They don't measure any different, they don't feel any different when they're on body. The only thing I noticed was when I trained in Blue Bonnet, I did start to get some stretching in the hip and some bagging out of the fabric, but it honestly didn't look bad, and it didn't look that dissimilar to a size small, because they roll so much anyway that even if you don't have excess fabric, it looks like you do around the hip anyway due to the rolling. So there really wasn't much of a difference. And I will say that in terms of like through the leg, Bloom definitely fit notably tighter around the leg, around the bottom portion of the leg. That colour definitely fits the tightest. I would say Canary Yellow and Rose are the stretchiest. Blue Bonnet, it's hard to say because I got a medium that came in basically fitting like a small, but it could just be a bad batch, it might not be anything to do with the colour. But Bloom is definitely on the tighter side, so especially if you are someone who sort of dabbles, some of your contour is one size, some of it's another, but you don't love high compression, especially in Bloom, I would recommend that you go with a size up, because it does fit notably tighter. Canary Yellow and Rose are very high stretch, very soft, very pantyhose like, but Bloom and Blue Bonnet I do find to be thicker, and Bloom in particular definitely fits a little bit tighter. Got contour before, there hasn't been changes, so you can definitely go with your usual size. Like all my size smalls came in with like a 10 to 10.5 inch measurement on the waistband, which is pretty standard for contour. So if you've already got contour, go with your usual sizing. If you've never bought contour before, going for the lighter colours, I would recommend that you size up to avoid sheerness, because they are incredibly sheer even when you are stood up. It's not about being squat proof, girl, it's about being stand up proof. If you like high compression, you can definitely go true to size and it will fit you like a glove for a nice high compressive fit. But if you are between sizes, my personal recommendation is that you go with a size up. First of all, it's going to help you like negate some of that sheerness. Second of all, they fit high compression anyway, so if you're between sizes, I just feel like it's safer to go up. And they also really don't stretch out too much over time either with the waistband. Like when you wash them, they will just snap back to how they were before. In terms of rolling, because obviously these are the shorts, these are a 5-inch inseam. They are quite tight on the thigh, like that bottom band is tight and it does roll up, it does ping up, there's no way of avoiding it. These do roll, but I find that when they roll, they just cup your glutes like a little dream, like two little hands just giving you a little lift. I know that people say it looks bad. I don't think it looks bad. I think it's really flattering on the glutes, and it doesn't bother me that they roll. But if that's something that's going to bother you, or you are sensitive to a tight thigh on a short, I don't think you will love contour, and I don't think that's going to be the best line for you, because they are snug around that bottom band and they do roll to really push the glutes up. But I find them very, very, very flattering for that reason, so I personally don't mind it, but they do roll like a motherfucker. So yeah, that's contour shorts done. These are very, very, very new, very unique colours. It's a very pretty colour palette. Just be aware of the sheerness with your canary yellow and your rose. Some people, honestly, it won't bother them and they don't care, and they'll wear it anyway. They'll wear white, they'll wear anything, they don't care, and I love that for you people who don't care. But if you are someone who is bothered about that and you are concerned, or you have tattoos, that even when you are stood up you are going to be able to see them through the yellow and the rose, I really want to make that clear, because I don't want anyone to be disappointed or shocked or say that like they wish they'd knew when they were ordering. They are incredibly sheer, and don't be fooled by how things look in try-on clips, selfies, workouts, because I find a camera never ever ever picks up how sheer things are in real life anywhere near as bad as they look in real life. Take what you see on socials with a pinch of salt, because the camera really struggles to pick up how sheer these are, especially with them being lighter colours. So please be aware of that. But if you are wanting something that is going to be on the thicker side, Bloom will be a really good option, because that's how mine have come in. Again, you could have a different experience, but I just feel like with the marl, I feel like it's because of the marl, not just a batch difference. So I would highly recommend checking out the Bloom colour. And just to summarise on sizing, true to size for a high compression fit. If you're between sizes, I would recommend you size up, and if you don't like compression at all, you can definitely size up. I can do small or medium. Okay, moving on, we have got the Amplify open back bra. Now this may look very familiar, and that's because it is. It's very, very, very similar to the ALPHALETE Amplify cross back bra that they did before. It's honestly, and I will get further into like a proper comparison, but it's pretty much the exact same thing, just without the cross in the middle at the back. So it's pretty much the exact same bra. Details wise, just to run you through them really quickly, you've got the ALPHALETE logo on the front, which is a sticker, which I don't love, because I do find that these tend to peel off and they don't wear particularly well on the product. So I do hope that they start changing that, even like a silicone one. And I also don't love black branding on white. I just wish this was white on white. But yeah, it's a very minimal bra. It fits like a halter at the front. It's very wide and open on the bust. You also have this like contouring detail that goes under bust. It's sort of like a mesh looking panel, sort of like the Amplify side panel, which sort of contours under the bust like so. You've got a tiny skinny little ribbed band around the bottom. These do come with padding, but it is wrappy padding. So this is the padding for the seamless bras, and then this is the padding for Tenacity. This is like silky, it feels well made, it's soft, they don't feel like they're gonna split and peel. The seamless ones are like weird thick, they have like jaggedy edges, they feel like they're gonna honestly split in half. So I wish that they would use this padding in all of the bras, because the seamless padding is honestly not good. But they do come with padding. Do be aware with the white and any of the lighter colours, you can see the padding through it, so you're either going to need to swap it out for a padding that's not as noticeable, maybe a different colour, or you are going to need to place the padding against your skin, so you've got 2 layers of fabric over. I would honestly recommend just using nipple covers. Like nippies are great, and in my opinion much better than padding. I would recommend that you guys use those under these bras, because it's going to be much less notable. You're going to have to take the padding out anyway, because you can completely see it, and it looks bizarre. So then around the back, it's just completely open. You've got some cross straps which are completely adjustable, so that is nice. You can adjust those and loosen them, tighten them depending how you need it to fit. And again, the branding is printed, not the branding, the labels details is printed on the inside. There is no big label sticking out of the bra anymore. And in terms of the fabric, it's the exact same as all the other seamless pieces. So with that being said, do be aware with gym bags, anything over your shoulder, if it pulls at the fabric, it can pill it and it can bobble it, so do be aware of that. So in terms of comparing this to the old crossback seamless bra, they are honestly almost identical. There are some slight minor changes, which is things like the logo on the new one looks like it's been moved up like 0.2 inches, so the logo sits slightly higher. I find there to be a little bit more coverage here, and as it sort of wraps around the armpit, I find that I get a little bit better coverage on the new one personally. And then obviously at the back as well, the old one had the cross detailing, this one is just completely open. I will say it does leave this bra open to sort of gaping at those sides there, which I didn't notice I got as badly on the crossback bra, so that's something that I have noticed. But other than that, the details are pretty much, honestly guys, pretty much all the exact same. Like there really isn't too much to go over with this bra because it basically is that bra, just slightly different with a slightly different back. The sizing is also very similar, so if you got a particular size in the last one and it worked for you, feel free to get that size again and it will be completely fine. For me, for sizing, I got a small and I got a medium, and they honestly both work. The biggest difference that I found is with the medium, I do get more gaping here at the side here around the back when I'm like moving. If I'm doing like a rowing motion, fabric sort of goes like this a lot more on the medium than it does on the small. But I do find that with the medium, you get a little bit more coverage with going up a size. Obviously fits a little bit more comfortable around the bottom of the bra. Not loose, it's just not as compressive. But I do find I get excess fabric then in the middle of the bra. It looks like a little bit baggy. But the biggest difference for me is in the strap length. So I believe on the size small, at full adjustability, it's 13.5 inches. On the size medium, it's 15 inches. And that does make a big difference for me. I find the size medium much more comfortable on my trap. It's frustrating. I wish that the straps were the same across all the sizes, because I feel like if the small had more adjustability in the strap, I would probably actually prefer that size because I feel more held in. The thing is with this bra, it's very minimal and I don't feel like I'm going to slip out of the bottom. Like when I'm moving around, I don't feel like my tits are going to fall out the bottom. My concern is more with the top, and the top sort of slipping down or gaping at all, and I feel like with the medium I do worry about that. But the straps are so much more comfortable. If you have developed traps, you might want to try sizing up or skip on the bra completely if you can't size up, purely because the straps I find on the size small quite short and quite tight, and they do dig in quite a lot, and they don't really have much give to them either, so that's something to be aware of. I would honestly say sizing, like I said, if you've had the seamless bra before and it worked well for you in that size, go with that size again. Generally, I would say you can stay true to size. Just be aware of the fact that it might be quite uncomfortable on the traps, and if you are bigger in the chest, especially if you've got naturally big boobs, honestly it's a tiny bra, it's probably not going to be the best option for you anyway. I would personally skip on it. But if you want to try it and you do have a bigger chest, I would recommend trying a size up, because I can go up to a medium and it works. I just get a little bit of gaping, but then I am narrower around the rib cage and all that sort of stuff, so I think that plays a role as well. I don't know if I necessarily have the bust to truly fill out a medium. I don't hate either size, I just kind of feel like I'm slap bang in the middle of the two for like different reasons. I prefer how secure and held in I feel in the size small, but I prefer the strap adjustability on the medium, which is kind of annoying. I do prefer the back of this, I do prefer it just being completely open. A lot of people were cutting the crossbox out anyway, but I do find that gaping at the side annoying, and Twinkle Toes did notice it as well. He was like, it's like bagging at the side when you're moving. I was like, yeah, I know. In terms of support, none. This is low support, very low support bra. It's fine for weight training, it's fine for hot girl walk. I wouldn't suggest anyone get this as like a high intensity bra or anything like that. It's low impact and it is made for smaller chests, so it's not necessarily a big titty comedy friendly bra. I think that's pretty much all I have to say on this, guys, not gonna lie. It's not my favorite bra. I prefer other bras. I'd rather use my strappy bra. I'd rather use the bras from ALPHALETE, but if you like a basic very strappy open back bra and you're smaller in the chest, you will probably really like this. Just be aware, if you've got quite developed traps, it is quite tight on the trap. If you are between sizes or bigger in the chest, I would recommend you size up. But yeah, that is the seamless open back bra. Okay, seamless is done. Baby tees really quickly. I'm not gonna harp on about these too much, but we've got them in some cute colours, and I feel like they've never really done a non-neutrals drop for baby tees. And you guys know I'm a neutrals girl to my core, but I do really like these colours. I do think the colour palette on this launch is very pretty. I found the colour palette on the last launch to be a little bit stark in some aspects. I feel like this one just so much more cohesive and it works so much better together, so I'm very much enjoying this colour palette. Yeah, the baby tees are coming in canary yellow, blue bonnet and rose, and 94 cotton, 6 elastane, I believe. The exact same as it's always been. So you've just got the normal t-shirt neckline at the top, got cap sleeves, so they're not like a true full sleeve, and you do get better armpit ventilation if that's something you care about. Got ALPHALETE, the little word mark logo. Can you see what I mean? The new logo really isn't on that many pieces for women's in this drop, and then it just comes into a meet and greet slash long crop. This hits me at about belly button high, but of course you can wear these whichever way you want. You can wear the full length, and with amplify it's going to be meet and greet because that's obviously high-waisted, and you won't have your midsection out, you'll be covered. You can wear these cropped, you can roll them up, you can wear them tucked up more like t-shirt bolero, which I feel like I can definitely see people like Bailey doing, for example, with this drop. I feel like she's going to really enjoy these colorways for the baby tees. I feel like this is just a very her drop. But yeah, where these hit you, it's going to depend on your height, your torso length and all that sort of stuff, and also how you size it. You don't have to size down in these, but I personally do. If you stay true to size, it will just be like, probably notice that you have excess fabric in certain places. If you want a body fit, like you want it figure hugging, you do need to size down with the baby tees. In a true size, they won't be like tight everywhere, so I do go with a size down because I prefer that. For like a layering piece, I want it to be tight to me, but these are super stretchy and super soft, so it's not compressive or anything like that. Sweat, these do show sweat. I'll pop in a picture here. They show sweat really badly. The rose and the canary yellow are completely see-through. You cannot wear these without a bra unless you want everyone to see your tits, which that's your own prerogative. Yeah, I'm not here to judge, but if you don't want that, you need a bra under them. But honestly, even with a bra, you can see whatever bra you wear underneath these. So I would say if you're looking for like a non-sheer option, value for money, blue bonnet is probably the best baby tee you can get in this drop because these are completely see-through. I do find as well that compared to my blue bonnet, my rose and canary yellow, they don't fit bigger, they just feel less stiff, they feel stretchier, they don't measure any different, they just feel thinner and stretchier, whereas blue bonnet does feel a little thicker, a bit more like the black and the brawl and the knockout baby tees from previous drop. In terms of the silicone logo, I've had no issues with them peeling off, and you guys know I wear these to fucking death, so I feel like if anyone's going to note that, it would be me, and I've had no issues with them. A niche thing to mention just on top of sweat is these do hold smell. If you sweat in these, you need to wash them. You can't like get away with wearing these 2 days in a row. They hold onto a smell in a really strange way. I know that's quite niche to mention, but I do feel like it's important to mention. Like, I could not get away with going to the gym in one of these and then wearing it all day. By the end of the day, I would smell pretty bad in a way that other fabrics don't make me smell. It's not the end of the world, but I feel like it's something worth noting. And in terms of shrinking, these don't shrink in the wash. What will happen is throughout the day when you're wearing this, if you pull on it or you stretch it out, it will bag out, but as soon as you wash it, it goes back to its original shape, so it maintains its shape well post wash, but throughout the day it can bag out a little bit. If you stretch it, if you pull it, it won't snap back, it doesn't retain in that sense, but when you wash it, it won't shrink to anything smaller than it was before, it just goes back to its original form. That's the baby tee, and obviously you've got matching contour shorts and also some tenacity options to pair with these as well. One of my top picks for this drop because they're very, very pretty colours, very versatile, you can wear them all the time, and I know I'm on a tirade for full length tops at the moment, which trust me guys, I'm trying really, really hard for true full length tops for anyone that actually has a longer torso or isn't 5'2". But I do like that these are meet and greet, and I wear them a lot in the gym. Outside of the gym, I honestly don't wear them that much because they look kind of awkward with where they hit, because I don't wear high-waisted stuff out of the gym. But in the gym, I do like how these pair with my contour shorts, with my amplify, with where they hit on me. Baby tees, love. Okay, we're going to move on to tenacity now. So I'm going to go over the bottoms that I have first. We've just got more wrap front bottoms. Sadly, there is no non-wrap front bottoms. We do have a 5-inch inseam short, and we've got the leggings. Fabric first and also labels. Tenacity still has the tag labels, so there's nothing like printed on the inside of them or anything like that. It's pretty much just the seamless products where they've done away with the physical tags and they've started printing it, but everything else, it's still a tag. So 70 nylon, 30 spandex, which is how it has been. So with the fabric, I'm not going to go over it in depth because I've done that before. If you want it compared to all the other ranges, you can go and watch those videos. It's a densely woven, thicker, higher compression, meant to be less brushed version than Aura. It's meant to be a bit slicker. I would say it's more like suede feeling. I feel like that's the best way I can describe it. Kind of gets like the finger marks in it like suede would, and it has a very brushed sort of texture to it. Denser, it's higher compression. A lot of people size up in tenacity for that reason. It's not as comfortable as Aura, but I also find it retains its shape a lot better than Aura. The leggings, for example, they don't bag out like Aura does, and it stays in place a little bit better. It's meant to be a little bit more performance based than Aura is, while still not being that true like slick performance like Nike Pro, ALPHALETE Pulse fabric sort of feel. However, I will say with this drop, I feel like all the tenacity pieces feel so much more brushed than usual. Tenacity to me used to feel like a blend of slick and brushed at the same time. All my tenacity pieces this time just feel like straight up suede. They feel incredibly brushed, and I feel like tenacity has always been something that can pill, but these pieces feel a lot more pill prone. They've not said they've made a change or anything like that, but I find that these feel a lot more brushed and a lot softer. Or like if you've ordered tenacity before and some pieces felt slicker, some pieces felt a lot more brushed, every single piece this time feels a lot more brushed. It's like a suede brushed kind of fabric. Very soft. Sweat proof, no, it does show sweat and pilling. Like I've just said, it will pill over time, and it's a very warm fabric, so if you live in a hotter climate, it might not be your favorite because it's quite insulating, it's quite brushed, and it's quite warm feeling, and it's also very dense feeling on the body too. It's not a particularly light fabric. So wrap front leggings, I did already compare these to Surface when they first dropped, but just to let you guys know, if you liked Surface, similar in terms of design. Like the front, obviously you've got the cross front waist here, you've got the back, which is like a sort of V-ish sort of seam, which is what Surface had. You've got the new A logo. This is on all the tenacity pieces. It's very tonal and it's absolutely tiny, like you can barely see it. Like from a distance you honestly can't see it at all, but that is the new logo on the women's pieces. You've got a 3.5-inch long scrunch at the back that's based off a size small, and then you've got the curved detailing down the side, so it curves backwards like Aura does, but this is not quite as far back. It sits a little bit further forward, but it sculpts your glutes really nicely around the side, and then that just runs down the center. The gusset on all the tenacity pieces is that like extended gusset, which I do find can help with camel toe, but honestly the camel toe on these is pretty bad anyway on me. You've also still got that elastic band that just runs around the back of the legging, like it stops as soon as it gets to this portion here, but it's all around the back of the legging, which I don't love. I don't find that it keeps anything in place any better, and I just find that it can dig in and make the size that might feel best everywhere else look like it doesn't fit you, and it can cause rolling. And the inseam on these, I believe, is, I'll pop it on the screen, but I believe it's about 27 inches, which hits me sort of just above ankle height. So the front rise on these is 6.5 inches. For reference, if you've got Surface, that was 7.25 inches. So that midpoint is actually almost an entire inch lower. So the rise for these, it's going to depend on your height. Everyone was saying these are like mid to high rise, but on me, these are like low to mid rise. These hit me really quite low, like significantly below my belly button, and I find I have to pull them up quite a lot. So because of that, I do find the camel toe to be quite bad on these. these, but again, that's going to depend on your anatomy, yes, but also how much you're having to tug them up, how much you're pulling them up where you kind of want them to sit. If you're shorter, short torso queens, you are going to love these. Like, they're even lower than Surface was. They are definitely built with shorter torsos in mind, in my opinion. I think this is the lowest rise option that ALPHALETE have. You guys are going to eat these up for breakfast, lunch and dinner. I just don't love a cross front waist on me. I find it really annoying. Like, as soon as I move, as soon as I sit down to stand back up, the cross front waist just rolls completely. It doesn't stay in place. I find it annoying. It gives me like sensory overload, and I just don't love having that much of my stomach out. I do wear these sometimes for errands, but I will never train in a cross front legging, because as soon as, for example, even doing a leg press, as soon as I bring my legs to my chest, the waistband just pings down and it annoys me. I don't think it looks that flattering on my body either. I know everyone says that like the cross front gives them more of a waist appearance, so maybe it's more of a thing for if you have like a much boxier frame, it gives the illusion. But I feel like if you already have a waist, I'm not sure it's, I don't know, I don't find it that flattering on me. And if you've been here a while, you'll know I just don't love a cross front waist on me, but I love it for the people that love it. I know it's super popular with people. Pilling wise, like I said, it's very brushed and it can be prone to pilling. Sweat proof wise, it does show sweat. It's not sweat proof. You will be able to see your sweat in it, and with it being a denser fabric, it can take a while to dry as well, but it will be less obvious on the darker colours. So like dark navy, it's not going to show as much as, for example, on Malibu Pink or Aurora, for example. They obviously have the hidden scrunch at the back, so I do find these to be quite glute flattering, but with that hidden scrunch and it being cross front and me having to tug it up quite a bit, like I said, I do find the camel toe to be quite bad on these. It gets quite uncomfortable. I feel like the hidden scrunch puts tension underneath there to like pull it through, and then because I'm pulling the fabric up because I want to try and make them fit a bit higher rise on me, there's just a lot of tugging going on, and I don't love that. I do find them quite uncomfortable in the crotch region. I got these in a size small. I've tried small and medium in the cross front, and I can do either. I would say generally with Tenacity, size up if you are between sizes 100%, but also size up if you don't like compression or you have particularly thick thighs, really thick glutes. I would also recommend that you take a size up, because it is a dense fabric. It's quite hard to get on, and everyone I've spoken to that's either on the taller side or like thicker thigh never seems to regret sizing up in Tenacity. I stay true to size, but I can do small or medium, so I can do my size or a medium, but I would recommend in general that you size up if you are between sizes. I don't find these to fit as tight around the waist with them being that cross front. I feel like it takes the tension out of it. But yeah, personally I prefer my everyday core legging because I don't like a cross front waist, but if you are in the market for something that is going to be low to mid rise depending on your torso height and you love a cross front waist, there's nothing wrong with them. They're very, very, very nice quality. I just don't love a cross front waist. Find it really fiddly, it doesn't stay in place, and it annoys me. That brings me on to the shorts. So these have the exact same details. They are just a short version and they are a 5-inch inseam. The sizing I find to be the same. They don't fit any different, they don't measure any different, they fit the same. So you've still got that rise in the middle is still 6.5 inches to here based on a size small. Still got the curved detail at the side to flatter the glutes, got waist contour in here. You've got the elastic band around the back, tonal logo on the back of the new logo, V-seam into the hidden scrunch detailing, which just helps to basically separate your glutes. It doesn't look scrunched on body, it just helps to separate the glutes a little bit and flatter them a little bit more. You've got the extended gusset like you do on the leggings, and then you've just got a simple seam at the bottom, which I don't honestly find to be too snug or too uncomfortably tight until it rolls up, but we'll get onto that. So all the details are the same, fabric is the same, the rolling is the same in terms of the waistband. In terms of the rolling on the leg of these, they do roll up. They roll up basically to just sit right under your butt cheek. Now with Tenacity being a denser, thicker fabric, I personally find that I am completely fine with these. They don't roll up to expose the bottom of my butt cheeks. I'm not walking around with my butt cheeks flapping in the wind. It does stop them hiking up too much, like too much where my bum cheeks are out, with it being a thicker fabric, and it does fit tighter around the thigh when it's rolled up, because it is thicker fabric, it's denser, so it just feels tighter around the thigh once it's rolled up. That's honestly the only way I can explain it. But they do roll up and the waistband does roll down. They don't stay in place particularly well. It is a thicker fabric as well, so again, if you're in a hotter climate you might not love these. But I will say it's been quite warm in the UK. It was like 27 degrees the other day, and I did wear this colour in Tenacity for cardio. I did 30 minutes on the stairs and I honestly was completely fine. I didn't feel too hot, but again, it does show sweat. It's not particularly sweat wicking and it does take a while to dry. I know that people found the dye bled on these with the brights that they did last time. I've not found that I've had that issue on these yet, but I also didn't get Malibu pink, which I feel like would probably be most susceptible to that. So just be aware there was an issue of like the dye kind of running when you sweated with some of the brights with Tenacity last time. Again, it was doing my head in. There was a lot of readjusting with the waistband and a lot of rolling with the shorts, which I don't mind, but the rolling of the waistband is particularly frustrating. Fabric wise, obviously it's the same, so it's quite pill prone. They're very soft. In terms of squat proofness with Tenacity, it tends to fare much better than Seamless does because it's thicker, it's cut and sew. I find cut and sew is always a lot more squat proof than Seamless because it just tends to be denser. But I do find Canary Yellow and Aurora, if you've got tattoos, I would be wary of those colours even in Tenacity. I feel like with Canary Yellow, when I'm stood up, I can see nude underwear. Can't see my butt cheek freckles, but I can see nude underwear, so I would be cautious with that. Dark navy is completely fine. It's very squat proof and there'll be no issues with that, but the lighter colours are not 100% squat proof. And like I said with the leggings, I've already compared the leggings to the Surface cross waist leggings, which I'll leave linked below, and the Surface cross waist shorts were basically the leggings and these are basically the short of the Tenacity cross front, if that makes sense. I've already done it, but if you were curious, these are longer, they have a longer inseam, it's a much more brushed fabric, they're thicker, they're more compressive, they're denser, they have the hidden scrunch. Surface didn't. Not as slick a fabric, it's a lot more brushed, and they do sit about 0.75 to an inch lower in terms of rise as well. So those are the main differences between Surface and this. So yeah, in terms of sizing, I did pick it up in a small and a medium just because the girls who did like the ALPHALETE try on said that they had to size up, but I feel like sometimes everyone sizes up in Tenacity whereas I don't, so I wanted to try both. For me, I do actually much prefer a medium in the shorts. I feel like the leg is a lot more comfortable, it's not as tight, and I also feel like the waistband doesn't roll so much in a size up, so maybe that's a note for the leggings as well. If you size up, the waistband might not roll so much because it won't be so to the waist, but I just find the medium a lot more comfortable in the shorts. They do still roll up regardless of if you size up or stay true to size, but I just find the waistband sits a lot better. It doesn't roll over so easily. Shorts feel a lot more comfortable on the leg, and I find that that elastic band around the back, which I really wish they'd take out of Tenacity pieces because it doesn't do anything. I really wish they'd take it out. It just digs in a little bit in a size small in a way that I don't love. So for the shorts, I personally would recommend sizing up. I also feel like it does help in terms of how tight things are in terms of camel toe. I do notice I get less of a camel toe when I go with a size up. If you were curious, going up a size gets you about an extra ½ an inch in terms of rise as well. So the medium front rise is 7 inches, whereas a small is 6.5. So if you go up a size, you also will find you don't have to pull it up as much to get it to sit a little higher, because naturally it just has a little bit more rise to it. So I would keep that in mind as well, unless you are really down for a super tight fit. I think most people would be happier in these in a size up, and that would be my recommendation for sizing. If in doubt with Tenacity, bottoms in general, if in doubt and you're stressing about sizing, just size up, because I feel like you will be fine in a size up. It's denser, it's thicker, it's more compressive, it's not going to be hanging off you. In terms of overall thoughts, obviously it's no secret, I'm not the biggest fan of a cross front waist, so it's definitely not my favourite, but I do prefer these to the everyday core shorts just because I feel like these are longer, and I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like the way that these sit on my body, they feel longer than the everyday core shorts, so I do prefer them to that. I'm not sure how I feel about a cross front waist on me. I've never been the biggest fan of it. I find it quite annoying to train in. I do like the shorts, but I'm just not a fan of a cross front, so it definitely wouldn't be a top pick for me personally. But if you like a cross front, and you're looking for something more lower to mid-rise, these are going to be spot on for you. Okay, we've got two new Tenacity bras. So first of all, we've got the interval bra, which is probably the most coverage ALPHALETE have put into a bra in years. This is a much higher coverage bra for people who have been waiting for one from ALPHALETE. I'm gonna have to hold it upside down because I feel like when I hold it by the neck you can't quite see it properly. But this is the interval bra. So details wise, you've just got a very high neckline. I will say the neck is a little tight going on. It takes a little bit of tugging to get it on, but once you get it on, it's on. It's a very wide cut around the armpit. Like, this is an incredibly wide cut, and it does also come around quite low. These do come with padding, and these have that better, like, silkier, I've lost the pad, they have the silkier, nicer padding. So the Tenacity bras do come with padding, and with Tenacity being that thicker fabric, I found even with canary yellow, for example, there's no issues with seeing the padding through, so you're completely fine. As opposed to the seamless, you'd have darts coming in from the side for some extra shaping, and then it sort of scoops under bust here like so, and there's basically a band that runs around the inside under bust, which just sort of really helps it to sit nice and snug under there, which I do really like. And then at the back you've just got the little A logo at the, it's not at the base of the neck, it's actually at the base in the back, which I do find interesting. I kind of wish it was just at the neck, and then we can just hide it with hair or whatever. And then this is the back, it's like a keyhole cut out, and then you've got this thick strap around the bottom, which I am actually very impressed by how much stretch this have. Very panicked that this was going to be very tight and very tense, but it's actually not. It's got a decent amount of stretch and bounce to it, so I'm very happy with that. Double lined, of course, the full way round, and again it's in that classic Tenacity fabric, so sweatproof, no, and it's quite dense, so I do find it takes quite a while to dry as well, so there's that to consider. In terms of support for this bra, I feel like people see a high neck bra and they think high support. I would say for me, I've got implants. This is low to medium. I think if you've got a naturally big bust, low to medium, I'm gonna edge on the lower side. I find the cut of this a bit too wide around here. I think it looks great on small chest, small up top, and they don't have much to like spill out of the side. But if you have bigger boobs, please be aware this does scoop down quite low around the side. And so I find that when I'm even standing or sitting, it's not the most flattering thing in the world, but I also find that it takes away from support. Like, I don't feel like my boobs are properly held in, because like my armpit and side boob is kind of hanging out at the front, if that makes sense. I do think that the support in terms of like not slipping out through the bottom is really good. Like, this band across the bottom works really well in sort of keeping things in place, and I do like, especially with like the cross front leggings, how this sort of curves like this, and then you've got the cross waist like that. It's very flattering when it's all together, and I do think the cut is flattering. I just don't find the cut around the armpit flattering at all on me, and I feel like a lot of people will with bigger busts will likely feel the same. I feel like this is probably going to look more flattering on smaller chests, which is annoying because I feel like this could have been a much better bra for bigger chests, but I wouldn't say it's that suitable, and I would say it's more low to medium. And I just wish it hadn't been cut so wide around here. Yeah, it looks good on the shoulders, but I feel like you can get that without it being so wide down here. And I do also, in terms of like trap discomfort, I do find this quite tight around the neck and around the traps as well, so that's something to consider. If you're particularly sensitive to that, it is quite tight around there. But in terms of sizing, honestly, for me, this has been true to size. I wouldn't size up, I wouldn't size down. If you are between sizes, with Tenacity being tighter, especially if you've got a bigger bust, I would definitely go up. But I feel like for everyone else, you're going to want to go true to size. I went true to size, and I'm completely happy with the size. It's not too tight under bust, which a lot of bras from other brands can be. I just don't love how it's cut. I wish it was cut a little bit more comfortable here, and I just wish there was a little bit less tension in the straps for the trap. I just don't find this cut around here. It's too wide. If it was just a little bit less wide and came up a little bit higher, I think I would find this a lot more flattering on me. But it's just like the side of the top of my boob is hanging out, and then I've got quite a lot of like I store fat in my armpit, and I just don't think it looks great on me. But I've seen it on Gabby, and I think it looks amazing on her, and she's obviously significantly leaner than me and also smaller in the chest, so I think that plays a role as well. But yeah, that's the interval bra. I was hoping that this was going to be much higher support, but I would say honestly it's low to medium, and it's probably more suitable for smaller to moderate sized chests. Lina bra, this is one that I am so conflicted on. We'll get into I'll just go over the details, but I am so conflicted on this bra. Like, so conflicted on it. Very, 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 very similar to the Olivia Sculpt bra, which I will compare to properly, just in the sense of it being like those straightforward straps that sit over shoulder, sort of a little bit of a curve under bust, that sort of detailing. It's very similar, but you've got less of a square neckline, it's more scooped. You've got much more of a scoop under bust, which I think looks so fucking flattering. It's so flattering on the chest. I feel like it's something I love about the Aura strappy bra, and I love it about this bra as well. It's so goddamn flattering. And the logo for this is actually on the front, just at the side. It doesn't really sit under boob, it sits sort of around the side, so really you don't see it front on unless you're lifting your arms up. You can't really see it, but it's tiny and it's just a little silicone logo. And then the darts on this bra, I feel like on a lot of the Tenacity bras the darts were up. On these ones they come in from the side, and it does come with padding. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but I want them to stop putting darts on the bras, because I feel like, because it's not sewn together obviously, because you need to be able to take the padding in and out, when you put the bra back on it's really hard to get the dart on the inside portion and the outside portion to line up properly. So then when it's on your chest you end up looking like you've got a weird triangle sticking out, even though you don't. And I find it really annoying, and it's one of the most off-putting things I find about the Tenacity bras. Then got like a thicker seam around the bottom. It's sort of like doubled up like this, which just fits all around the bust, and with it being that sort of scoop it really fits nicely under the bust on me. It's got a good amount of side boob coverage, half my tit isn't out at the side. And then we get into the back. So the back is actually, I'll give it to them, it's a unique idea. It's basically adjustable, so you can either wear the straps in the middle and it looks more like this, or you can pull them to the side, and I'll show you in this video, but it's very, you might think, how am I going to do that? If you can't do it, that's a sign we need to work on mobility. It's actually quite easy to do. Pull them to the side and have more of like a straight over bra, which looks very skinny in the back there. The only thing to be aware of with this is, well, there's two things to be aware of. When you wear it like this, it does create bunching here, like where the straps meet, just because obviously you've pulled all the fabric together and it doesn't sit quite flat. So if you're doing things like benching or hip thrusts, anything where your back's against a bench, you might feel it digging in a little if you are pulling it to the side, because as you can see when you wear it in the middle you don't get that bunching because it's able to sit flatter and wider, if that makes sense. And it does kind of feel different when you pull the straps wider. I find that I feel like the straps feel like they're going to fall off my shoulders a little bit more, whereas when the straps are pulled to the middle it feels like it sits better. I personally prefer it with the straps pulled to the middle. When they're pulled to the side I don't like the bunching I get, and I just feel like the straps then feel like they're sitting weird on me. The thing that I find really frustrating about this is I love how it looks from the front, but regardless of whether you wear the straps in the middle, at the back or at the side, because of the nature of like how this bra is cut, it's cut with an intentional hike at the back, which I know that some people won't mind, and I think it looks quite good on smaller chests, but for me I feel like it makes my posture look really bad because the bra is just hiking up my back. I feel like it makes my back look a lot wider. I feel like it makes my chest look bigger because it looks like I'm wearing a bra that doesn't fit me properly. It looks like my boobs are like pulling the straps forward. I really like the idea of these straps being adjustable and being able to wear it two ways. I just wish at the back it didn't hike so much. Like it starts hiking around the side and then whichever way you wear it, it hikes up at the back. And I just feel like, especially side on, it can make you look really, in my opinion, it looks really strange. It looks like I'm wearing a bra that doesn't fit me properly. I really love how it looks from the front. I find this really flattering on the chest, which is surprising. I don't usually love straps that are straight across, but I really like how this looks, in all honesty. I'm just not sure about the hiking thing at the back. I just wish it wasn't doing that. In terms of comparing this to the Olivia Sculpt bra, I'm going to do that now. That bra obviously has a completely different back. It's straight across at the back. Front is much more of a square neckline on that one. This one is much more rounded, and I love a square neckline, but I do find this one more flattering. This one is more scooped under bust. The middle center coverage is very similar to the Olivia bra, but the coverage in terms of the top of the strap to the bottom of the midpoint of your bust is greater. And also with it not being a square neckline, it's not quite as wide in the chest, so you're going to get more coverage up here as well, like as it curves up around the chest. I would say it's very similar looking, it's just a different neckline. In terms of the strap length, I find the strap length on these to be completely fine. I wouldn't say they're too long, I also wouldn't say they're too short. I feel like with the Aura Sculpt, the straps were so short that the bra basically sit like halfway over my tits. This one is completely fine for me. Yeah, those are like the main differences between the two. But if you were someone that found with the Olivia bra that the straps were like falling off you and not staying up, I don't think you're going to have that issue with this one because they feel really well positioned. Like I'll show you guys when I'm moving around, it honestly stays in place pretty well. The straps don't fall off my shoulders, and also it does stay under bust quite well. It stays under bust instead of like rolling up over bust, much better than the Olivia bra did, which wasn't bad. It honestly stayed in place really well for me, but this one just has tiny bit more extra coverage, like 0.5 to an inch, and it does make all the difference, especially at that mid bust point. I find it really flattering, and it stays in, I'm honestly quite surprised by how well it stays in place. I did get people in my Discord saying they felt the back was very like tangly and your hair would get tangled. I've not had any issues with it, and I've been training with my hair down, so that's not something that I personally have been concerned with. Just be aware of the fact that yeah, it's adjustable in terms of moving them, but there's no adjustability in terms of the strap length. So if you are someone who needs that in a bra, you might not love this one. In terms of support, low to none. This is a low support bra. It's definitely been made more with implants or smaller chests in mind, which again I know is really annoying. We need more diversity with bras. We need more big boob friendly bras. ALPHALETE don't really have any, and we need more. Like, trust me, I'm telling them we need more of those. We need more coverage, yes, but also just more supportive bras. Supportive doesn't mean people want to be, you know, completely covered up to the neck. It just means they want something that's not going to cause them pain if they do anything over a brisk walk. But also more coverage too, because this won't cover like a very naturally big bust either. In terms of sizing for this, I got a small and a medium. I would recommend that you stay true to size. I would only size up if you are between sizes. With me personally, on the medium, I just find, yes, it fits, but I feel like there's baggy fabric on it, and I don't feel like it feels quite as supportive. So for me personally, I prefer the size small, and I think most people with this bra are going to be perfectly fine with going true to size. With it having that more open back and a bit more adjustability, it just feels like there's less tension under bust and around the back compared to usual Tenacity bras. So I would say you can definitely stay true to size with the bra. If you are between sizes or you have a significantly bigger bust, then if you want to try it, I would recommend you go with the size up. But if you're similar to me, similar size implants, or just like a moderate size chest, you can definitely stay true to size in it. I don't think you need to be sizing up. Padding, again, I already mentioned it, but if you were curious, Aurora and Canary, you can't see the padding through it. You're good to leave it in. There's no issues like there is with the Seamless. I feel like Tenacity bras in general are so slept on from ALPHALETE. Probably the best made bras that they do, the highest quality feeling. The fabric feels so nice against the skin. I just find that they generally feel very well constructed, as opposed to some of like the Seamless ones, which feel a bit more flimsy, a little bit less worth the money. I think the Tenacity bras are very much worth it. However, I am very conflicted on the back of this just because I don't love how it looks like it's hiking. Please tell me what you guys think. Do you think it looks bad? Do you think I'm going crazy? Can you see what I mean? I think it's just been really drilled into me about bras hiking at the back being a sign of things not fitting properly or it not being flattering, that I'm just very conscious of that look, if that makes sense. Oh my god, my voice is going. I wonder why. I've been talking for 2 hours. But yeah, that is my thoughts on the Lina bra. I love how it looks from the front. I just wish the back didn't look so sort of hikey, if that makes sense. But if you are interested in picking it up, go true to size. If you are between sizes or bigger in the chest, definitely consider a size up. Really just watching my hair get progressively flatter and flatter, so that's fun. Final Tenacity pieces. I'm going to talk about these kind of at the same time-ish. These are some new Tenacity light tanks. So this fabric launched for the first time in the last drop one of the year, so the birthday sale drop. That was the first time we saw the Tenacity light fabric. So So this fabric is 75 polyamide, 25 spandex, and it's called Tenacity Light, but it's nothing like Tenacity in my opinion. It's much thinner, nowhere near as brushed. It's a little bit more slicker feeling. It's definitely more of a performance feel fabric compared to even Tenacity, but also compared to, for example, your glass tanks, all that sort of stuff, like the seamless stuff. This feels a little bit more like proper gym wear, if that makes sense, like your typical gym wear fabrics. It's very soft and it's nice on the skin. It's not shiny, which I do appreciate. This is a very matte looking fabric. It doesn't have a sheen or a shine to it, which I do like. And with it not being so brushed, it's not very pill prone. Probably going to be a lot more durable for you guys than the seamless tanks, than other Tenacity pieces. So you've got flex tanks, you've got the crop version and the long version. However, they are basically different tops. They've got different necklines, different backs, the logo's in a different place. Other than the fabric, there really isn't very many similarities. So I'll go through the crop version first. This is it in the rose colour. It has a much higher neckline. Like, this is much higher than the glass tank, the ice tank, any of the tanks that ALPHALETE have ever done. This gives you a lot of coverage. There will be no cleavage out when you wear this tank. It sits a lot higher on the chest. It then cuts around the armpit. The front is double lined. The rest of the tank is completely single lined. So it's pretty sheer around the back in both the pink and the white, which are the only two that I've got. But the front is honestly fine. Even in the white, it's pretty decent without a bra. I personally would wear the white without a bra. You've then got the A logo tonal in the little silicone raised on the back, but even here you can see how sheer these are when they are single lined. Details wise, in terms of like the cut, it's cropped. I would say this is very close in length to the baby tee. It hits me on my like longer torsoed body around belly button high. So with really high waisted stuff, it is meet and greet sort of length. It's just like a standard mid waist crop top sort of length, very similar to the baby tee if you have one of those. Yeah, that's it. You've got those waist contouring lines at the front, but other than that, details wise, that's honestly pretty much it. In terms of showing sweat, this fabric does show sweat, but I do find it dries quicker than standard Tenacity, so that definitely gives it a plus. And it's not quite as warm. It's thinner, it's more breathable than standard Tenacity, so that helps it as well. In terms of sizing for this, I got it in a size small, and I don't really know how I feel about the sizing. It fits really tight over bust, but then at the bottom around my waist, it's quite baggy and quite loose, especially where it's double lined. So I don't really love how this fits. An unflattering cut on me. I don't know if it's because for me, maybe I'm just a whore, you know, there's too much coverage on the chest for me. I think if you are someone who wants to cover up a bit more, ironic because it's cropped, but if you want your boobs covered a bit more, I think you will really like these. I just don't find it that flattering on me. I feel like the cut makes me look quite broad, and I find it quite tight around the armpit as well, tight around the bust, but then it's loose around the waist. So sizing wise for these, it's really hard. If you are smaller chested, I would say you can definitely, if between sizes, get away with going down a size. But anyone else, I would say to stay true to size for a tight fit that might be a little loose in some places depending on how you're built, or go a size up if you don't want it to fit tight, because these do fit incredibly tight across the chest. I just find that around the waist it's not really flat to my body and it doesn't sit quite right. Sizing advice on this difficult because it's really tight in some places but then baggy in others, so I just find the fit of this to be quite off on me personally. Quality of it feels nice, but I don't love the cut of it and I don't like how the sizing has been done on it, so personally I actually wouldn't recommend these. I think if you are someone who likes the way that this looks, you like the cut, if you are dubious about sizing, I would say if you're in a panic about it, just go true to size and see what happens. But I find the sizing of this honestly quite off, and I know that's really unhelpful, but there isn't a clear-cut answer for me with sizing because it's really tight across the bust, but then it's really loose. Not really loose, but feels baggy and sort of lackluster around the waist for me. So personally, I don't really love this, but it's nice that they've given us two length options for people that do prefer more of a crop, or if you're short torso, this will be like a nice like meet and greet, if not a little bit longer length for you. And it's nice to see an option with a bit more coverage on the chest. I just don't love how it looks on me. You've then got the Flex Tank Long, which is honestly a completely different top other than fabric, completely different top. So this one has a much lower cut in the front, it's much more scooped. It's very similar to the glass tank. The only difference really is the fact that the neckline on this is just kind of as low, but this one is more scooped. The glass tank is more square. So if you don't like a square neckline, you might prefer this one. You've then got double lining in the front, inside of the waist contouring lines here. Anything that sits outside of that is single lined, and then you've got a super tiny racer back at the back. You will struggle to find a bra that sits under this. I personally would just recommend that you do like a crossback bra, like the seamless bra. I think looks really good with it, even though you can see the strap. I think it looks good, or I'd go with a strapless bra under it. Otherwise you're going to struggle to find a bra that fits well under this, and with them fitting quite tight, that's something to consider as well. You might not want too much bulkiness underneath. And then in terms of branding, you've just got the little A, and it's on the front at the right hand side of the waist contouring, so it's at the front on this top. So I do find it confusing that this is flex tank long and then flex tank cropped, because that one's got much more coverage at the back. This one's more of a racer back. This one's much lower at the front. That one's much higher at the front. They're very different cut. And in terms of sizing for this, I ordered an extra small and a small for the long tank, but they sent me 2 small crops and 1 extra small tank. Only got a size down in this, and having had a size down in this, I would not recommend that you size down. This was really hard to get on, guys. Like, I almost did not get this on my body. It was really difficult to get, even over my head, and then getting it over my back and shoulders was really difficult. And I do feel like the cropped version of this tank feels a lot nicer than this version. Like, I don't know if you guys can see, but I just feel like the stitching on this looks really naff. Like, I don't think it looks great. And it's also incredibly stiff. The stitching around the back of the long version has no stretch to it, literally whatsoever, whereas this one, it doesn't have a ton of stretch, but it just feels thicker. Like, the seams on the cropped version are thicker and they feel more well done, whereas this one feels really thin and very stiff. Like, the stitching on it is really stiff, making it quite hard to get on. It does fit me, and I do think going a size down, it gives the girls a good push. And in this colour, I don't need a bra with it. It's actually totally fine without, but it's so hard to get on, and it's so tight, and it's really uncomfortable around the back with that stitching being so stiff. It digs in and I find it a bit itchy. It just feels like the back of this is not finished, and that's the only way I can describe it. So I don't love that about it. In terms of the cut of it, it's much more dipped at the front, so it curves at the bottom, and it's about 1.5 inches longer than the glass tank, so it does sit a little longer at the front, but then at the back it's straight across. So on my torso, this hits me above the glutes. This hits me at like a hip length, still quite short around the back. And even though this is a little bit longer than the glass tank, it's that annoying length where, because of where it's sitting on your hips, as soon as you go to walk, as soon as you go to move, it pings up and it ends up being sort of like high hip length. It doesn't stay in place for me, which is something that drives me insane about the glass tanks. I do love them, but I find the length just that really annoying point on me. If you're shorter, this is definitely probably going to give you really good coverage, but if you are on the taller side, just be aware of the fact that even though it's longer than the glass tank, it's not as stretchy, so it actually sits quite similarly to how the glass tank sits if you fully pull it down, and you've got the same issue where as soon as you move in this, it does ping up and it does roll up. So I would have liked to have seen this a little bit longer, especially at the back. I just think it would have been nicer to have had a little bit of extra length on this personally, and the stitching to be just nicer finished. It feels really stiff, and it just, the only way I can describe it is it just doesn't feel finished. That's the only way I can describe it. And I thought I would prefer this to the glass tank, but I actually don't. I definitely prefer the neckline on this, and honestly I prefer the fabric of this. I feel like it feels really nice on the skin. It feels really buttery and soft, and it looks more performance. It feels more gym, if that makes sense, and it looks really good. But I just find that this definitely runs a lot smaller than the glass tanks. It's definitely not as stretchy as the glass tank, so if you find with those you need to size down, with these I definitely wouldn't. I would recommend that you stay true to size. Just to show you what I mean about the stretch on the Tenacity Light tank, And then if you compare it to the glass tanks, for example, the seamless ones, there's a lot more stretch, which means even though the flex tank is longer measurement wise, you can't stretch it down as much. It's not as stretchy. Also, from a sizing point of view, hopefully that helps you to show you how much less stretch you have in this compared to the glass tank. But because you can't pull it down as much, even though it's like 1.5, 2 inches longer, it ends up sitting at a very, very, very similar height to how the glass tank sits, if that makes sense. You do not need to size down in these, in my opinion, and I would not recommend that you do so. Fabric doesn't have much give, neither does the stitching. I would say to stay true to size if you are interested, but if I had to choose, I would pick the glass tank purely because of how stiff and uncomfortable the stitching on this one is. I just don't really love it personally. It just doesn't feel finished. That brings me on to the final thing that I have to show you, which is just this basics tank. So this is an extension of the basics line that they dropped for the birthday sale. It's that same fabric again, so we've got 85 nylon, 15 spandex. So it's that shiny fabric, and I will say the black pieces are particularly shiny, which I honestly don't really love. I really don't love how shiny the basics range is. I wish it was a different fabric, but you've just got 2 straps. They're not adjustable. There's no shelf liner. There's no built-in bra. It's double lined in the front like all the basics pieces are, and then it's single lined everywhere else. But again, and I had this issue with all of the basics tanks and tops in the last drop, where it's double lined, the fabric just bunches. It doesn't sit right. The bottom seam won't sit flat, like it bulges out. It looks bulky, and I really don't like how it looks. I appreciate double lining can help with sheerness, but personally I would just prefer some single lined options because it really messes with the fit, in my opinion, with these. It just makes the bottom look ill-fitted and bulky, and it sort of rolls up in a really weird way that I don't personally love. In terms of the length for these, they are longer than the push tank, because I know that I'm going to get questions about that. These hit me at about high hip point. I wouldn't say this is full length. I would say this is like a high hip length tank for me, but the straps are very long. They're not adjustable though, so I can see how if you are very like short upper torso, these straps might be incredibly long for you and have the tank sitting very low on your chest. I think that these should have been adjustable, but they do have a good amount of stretch to them, so you're definitely not going to get trap discomfort, but I think these should have been adjustable. In terms of the like neckline on this, it's very kind of square, and I find I have the same issue with this that I had with the push tank, which is just that it's kind of too narrow whilst being too wide. It's like the straps are cut too far in to the tank, if that makes sense, which just makes that armpit area look really weird. Straps are too far into the top, if that makes sense. Let me know if you guys can see what I mean, or if you think I'm going crazy, but it just looks off, and I had the same issue with the push tank, and it took me so long to work out what it was. But then I spoke to Cara, one of the girls who I speak to quite a bit on Discord and Instagram, and she bought the push tank, and she was like, it's too narrow but also too wide, and it's like the same issue with this one. In terms of sizing, which is what that brings me on to next, with the basics range, I sized down to an extra small in pretty much all the tops last time because they weren't fitting quite right. I would not recommend, especially if you've got a chest, that you size down in these. It's very, very, very tight across my bust, and it digs into my armpit in a really unflattering way, so I wouldn't recommend that you size down in these. They do have stretch. There is room to do so if you want to, but especially if you have boobs, I would recommend you stay true to size in this tank. I wouldn't size down in it. I don't love the length on me. I find it just sits at a really awkward point, sort of high hip. As soon as I walk, it pings up. I don't love how shiny the fabric is. It kind of gives like swimming costume or like dance costume, and I feel like it looks worse in the black. I was hoping it had been fixed for this drop, but it hasn't, so I don't love that. And ultimately, I have other tanks which are probably cheaper in fabrics I prefer, in fits I prefer, in lengths I prefer, from other companies, not even activewear companies, just other like day-to-day brands. So personally, the camisole tank is a pass for me. I don't really like how it fits. The double layering is annoying. It makes it not fit properly around my midsection. The cut across the chest I don't find very flattering, and the length is irritating on my body. But if you're shorter, you probably won't have that problem, but if you are on the tall side, it's definitely not full length for us taller, longer torsoed people. How many like not quite full length tops are we gonna get, you know? Okay, that's everything that I have to show you, so I hope that you guys have found this review helpful. I hope it's also been helpful having me sort of sit down and talk about the rebrand a little bit more in depth, sort of explain some of the changes that should be coming into play so that you guys have a clearer idea of what to expect and what the rebrand actually means. Because yes, there's a new logo, yes, there's new brand colours, but what the fuck does it actually mean for the customers? Like, what change are you actually going to notice? So hopefully it's been helpful, and I hope that now that you've seen this drop, it makes sense what I'm saying about how some new bits, yes, but it feels very much more of the same kind of thing. Although I will say the colours in this drop are definitely unique. There's not really any colours where I'm like, yeah, if you already have this, you don't really need that. A cohesive drop in terms of colourways, I just don't think it's that different or fulfilling that many of the this is what you're going to be seeing from design points of the rebrand. So, but if you've got any questions, you need any help with sizing, you can either comment them down below or message me on Instagram and I will get back to you on that. Don't forget, if you do shop with my code launch day, any day, whenever, please do email those, because the person who won last month won by default because she was the only person that entered, and she wasn't the only person that had used my code last month, but she was the only person that entered. So it's always worth sending it over, because I think that's happened like 2 months in a row now. The people that have won by default because they were the only people that entered. So don't forget that, and I will leave the email and details for that down below. But if you've got any questions, like I said, just let me know. If you do shop with my code, please message me on Instagram so that I can say thank you, because I wouldn't be part of ALPHALETE still without your support. I also wouldn't be part of the rebrand without your support. So I'm really hoping that we do see the changes that they are committing to and promising to, and hopefully you guys are going to have a much better and more positive experience moving forward. But yeah, any questions on any items in the drop, anything you think I've missed, let me know. I will leave linked below a Google Drive which will have all my colour comparisons, colour wheels and measurement pictures if that's something you're into, with like notes on sizing. That will be linked below, so if you want to check that out, that will be linked below. How many times am I going to say linked below? Anyway, I've been filming for about 2.5 hours now, so I'm going to go, but I hope you have an amazing day. I don't know what day this is going up, it depends how long it takes me to edit it. But yeah, drop May 17th, 12 PM CST, 6 PM UK time. I will see you guys in my next video.